This 2013 coverage is brought to you by Ultrient High Performance Nutrients.
Check out the book. You want your treats? You only got 2 minutes. Sorry, Justin, I'm getting excited. Wait, where'd mine go? So we get Benson that has a recovery shake. Oh yeah. This is my recovery shake right here. Okay, so we have our 2013 champions from the individual side. We have Jason Kaliba taking second, Ben Smith took third, and Rich Froning, again, first ever three-peat male champion. Let's give them a round of applause.
On the ladies' side, we've got Valerie Morbrel finishing 3rd place. We've got Lindsay Valenzuela finishing 2nd place, and Samantha Briggs, the 2013 fittest woman on earth.
On our side, we have Tony Budding, Director of Media, and we have Justin Bird, the General Manager of the Games. So we're free to ask any questions to anyone you'd like.
Well, this question is for everyone. I just want to know if you have any kind of changes in your training from the last year to this one in order to improve your performance this year.
I'll take it. No, I didn't. I mean, to win the CrossFit Games, you're going to have to do CrossFit. And it's pretty much what I'm pretty sure all of us here do. So I didn't change mine personally. CrossFit is pretty simple.
Yeah, just to kind of build on that, I think my training didn't change necessarily too much. I just focused on some of my weaknesses a little bit more and put myself in competitive settings as much as possible. So, you know, you could train for 6 hours a day, but if you're going at 50% of your best effort, that's only going to get you so far. If you put yourself in competitive settings where you're truly pushing yourself to your limits, I think your body gets much more adaptation from that, and that's what I was able to do this year.
I think I'm coming back from injury. I couldn't use my legs for a while, so I got some specialist coaches in. So I had a designated gymnastics coach to focus on my weaknesses, to try and get my weaknesses stronger. And then, like Jason was saying, I enlisted some of these, sat right next to me, to train with. Like I said, you need to be in that competitive environment to push each other in training. I think it worked pretty well for all 3 of us.
Okay.
Hi, congratulations, champion. You won 3 times now. Any chance or any ideas in your head on slowing pace, like any other sports event, like other champions that they say, okay, I have won it all, I'm gonna slow down now? Are you trying? Are you gonna?
No, it'd be tough. I don't know. I don't think I could just stop training. It's who I am, and it's part of me. I don't know. You know, even when I'm done competing as an individual, I'd like to try team or something like that. So I'll be here for a while, hopefully.
That's awesome.
Rich Froning, 3-peat champion. Do you take a rest day tomorrow after today?
Yes.
And then also 3-peat champion. Define who is Rich Froning outside of 3-peat champion?
You know, everybody knows how strong I am in my faith, and you know, I'm a Christian, and I completely believe that was there. I've been given the talents that I have to glorify Him, and that's what I do.
Hi, this is a question for Sam. Congratulations. As I think the only British journalist here, I'm incredibly proud of you, and of being in any way affiliated to you. Can you just, I'm really hoping that your win will inspire a lot of British women to take up CrossFit and take up strength training as well, at however much of a grassroots level. Can you talk a little bit about your journey into CrossFit, just briefly, and how it's changed your life, other than making you much richer, obviously?
Well, I originally come from a footballing background, and I retired from football due to repeated ankle injuries. Was looking for something to fill that void, started running for a club. I was doing triathlons and duathlons. I was doing fairly well as an amateur, and then somebody recommended CrossFit to try and get stronger for the duathlons. So I did my first games in 2010, and then proceeded to do my last competitive duathlon in 2010 and concentrated on CrossFit. I'm a firefighter as well, so the training definitely suited my type of job. So it just became a way of life, and I've not looked back since.
Hi, my question is for Valerie. It was awesome watching you go through that chipper so fast. I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your mental game and how you got through it so quickly.
The chipper or the pull-up one?
The one that you won.
The game plan was to go slow on the row. That's not my event, that's Sam's event. And then just to stay calm and breathe on the shoulder overhead and just rip through those pull-ups. If you watched, my eyes were closed the whole time, and I just kind of channeled the crowd and just kind of like soaked in everyone's energy to power me through the pull-ups.
This question is for Jason and Rich. We in the audience saw, especially in the event in the stadium where you guys were running around, you guys were kind of gauging your pace and when one would walk, the other one would walk. Was that part of the strategy, or was that just happened to happen like that?
Yes and no. You know what you got to do in certain events, and when this guy's ahead of me in the overall, I knew I needed to stay with him or ahead of him to chip away at some points. But he was right there the whole time. He was ahead of me for a while, and he told me, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, he said that when he saw me walk, he walked. So, and then when I saw him walk, I would walk. So yeah, you're about right. That workout was miserable.
At that point, right? I'm looking at Rich as my biggest competitor. I think, this game's him and I. Like, to me, we were kind of battling it out. Everybody else was still doing great, but I felt like it was kind of a battle between Rich and I. And so, because of that, it changed the way I kind of approached a lot of the workouts, where it was more like me versus Rich. I didn't really care about anybody else. So I was kind of just literally just trying to beat him. A duel. How we placed overall was really important to me, obviously, but it was more important to me that I beat Rich because we were so tight in the points race.
I'd like to point out something about Jason. In 2008, he was a champion, and he beat about 190 men to become the champion. And there's the competitors that he beat, there's not a lot of them around anymore, because as the sport has grown, the level's been raised, and there's not a lot of them left competing at this level, and here he is. He's got one man between him and another championship, and as the sport has grown as much as it has in that time, it's an amazing accomplishment, and I just throw out those kudos. 2008 to 2013, if you look at the sport and what it's gone on, that's an amazing accomplishment.
I did want to say, I did notice you looked way fit out there with your run was amazing on the Burden run. And talk a little bit about how your training specifically played a role in that this past year, if at all, if you targeted more endurance.
Yeah, a lot more endurance this year. I kind of took a big you have to kind of swallow your pride sometimes and look at your training and see what are you good at, what are you not good at. And sometimes people are blinded by, maybe what they're not good at, they just don't enjoy, so they never do it. But for me, I found that endurance events, long distance events, were where I was suffering at, and so I found an endurance coach. And from January, I told myself, I was like, all right, I'm not going to do anything until January, and then from January to July, I'll use this guy. So we've been out of the track twice a week, every week, from July from January until now. And we put in a lot of work. I mean, a lot of work. The most miserable thing I've done in a long time, besides the workouts here. We did 10 by 800 meter repeats, each under 3 minutes, with a work to rest ratio even for 10 of them. So it was 60 minutes of work. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is I put a lot of time on the track, and I think that really played a role here this weekend.
This is for Lindsay. Congratulations on your second place.
Thank you.
You used to have problems with the gymnastics. We all know about you're known for your strength and your weightlifting. How do you see your training now, and are you going for that first place next year?
I don't really focus on trying to get, first, second, or third. This weekend, a lot of the beginning workouts didn't really fall in my favor, what I'm very good at. I just knew I had to stay consistent throughout the weekend, and when I had my chance, which was the last workouts and the clean and jerk, that I needed to take advantage of it, and so I did. But now that I'm here, I'm soaking it all in, and I'm trying to enjoy the moment, so I'm not focusing on next year too much right now. So I'm just trying to enjoy this and have fun.
Go ahead, you deserve it.
Thank you.
Congrats, everybody. There's been a lot of talk in the stands about how the times were so much faster than past years, and the weight's so much heavier. And I know, as the years go on, that can only go on so long, so it'll plateau eventually. What do you see as the future of the games? Is it just going to be crazier workouts, or something else?
Can I talk about it?
Yeah, go for it. No.
So, as someone who's been there for a long time, in 2008, the workouts were not the way they are now. I think the athletes are showing what's humanly possible. We're putting up numbers that are equivalent to people who specialize in these specific areas, but yet we're able to do so many different things. I think we are groundbreaking in terms of what's capable for a human body. And I think Dave and all the crew who's creating these workouts, they don't necessarily create too crazy of stuff. They just allow us to kind of express ourselves. So, when they show a 400-pound deadlift, we need to step up to the plate. We need to get that done, and we will, and they know we will. And so I think over the years, what they found is that whenever they throw something out, we step up to the plate, and we're just proving to people what's humanly possible. And I think it's actually really inspiring, and it's awesome. Because I think in the next couple of years, we're going to find someone who could potentially be an Olympic athlete in 2 different sports that are totally different from each other by doing CrossFit style training. Maybe. That's my goal. That's what I see, Kathy.
Yeah, can I jump in on that? With the women's weights, I remember thinking wow, I'm the strongest I've ever been or ever will be. And then next year there's another PR, or next month, or whatever it is. And even after having a baby that I was still making PRs, I'm like, they can't make the weights heavier, we won't be able to do it. And they put the bar up there, and we all rise to meet it, or rise above.
Yeah, I think we like the challenge. I know a lot of the women were saying, wow, only 85 pounds, that's it, But once we got on the workout, it was like, oh, thank God it was only 85 pounds, so that was a lot of pull-up. But I think that as a woman competitor, competitors, we like to see the weights heavier. It empowers us. And I think that the fans, female fans especially, see us, setting new PRs, and her setting a 20-pound PR on her clean and jerk, and they're looking at our, our body makeup and the way we look, and they're like, man, I want to be able to do that. So it's kind of empowering to see that and hear that from women in CrossFit.
Can you guys state your name and where you're from too? What media outlet?
Mike Mensman is for you, actually, Dave.
to kind of play off of what both these guys, Lindsay and Jason, were talking about. Give us an idea of your program, like how your process of coming up with the events to make sure they're balanced.
Good question, Mike. We spend a lot of time going back and forth and talking about things and talking about themes. A lot of this in creating them is like, kind of gonna sound silly, but it's like making an art piece. You know, you make some good ones and you make some bad ones. You make some you want to use, some you don't want to use. Even application, we throw some workouts out that I don't like the way they look, the way they play out, but it's an experiment and some work really well, some don't. But in the process, I was sitting out there today watching the morning event and planning workouts for next year. And so 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we've already been programming, creating concepts, creating structures in our mind for next year while doing this. At the last press conference we had, I mentioned how there's a lot of things, there's a lot of good ideas, and you can't just do them all 1 year. There's some stuff we have to say, okay, let's push that back. It's not time. This year, there's a couple big things we got out that I've been wanting to do for a long time. One was the legless rope climb. That was a long time coming, and I like rope climbing. I like legless rope climbing. So this was the year for it to happen. The other big one was today. What was a big barrier we broke with today? You want to go at that one? This is the 405 for reps. You know, for years that's been people talk about, hey, are they ever gonna? You know, 2 years ago I remember people saying, are they ever gonna have 400-pound deadlifts for reps in the games? And 2 or 3 years ago you'd say no way. But this year was the right time. It stopped one person in his tracks, Josh Bridges. Does that mean it was inappropriate? No, not at all. Why do I say that? Because there was another athlete that was 165 pounds, and he smoked right through it. Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey and Josh Bridges are the same size, and Dan showed how strong someone that size should be, and it showed Josh where he needs to take his game. And like Jason said, we do things, we take people to places and make them do things sometimes they don't understand or think they can do it. I love your story about the 70-pound. Tell the story. Dumbbell last year.
Oh.
The 100 pound.
The first time, so last year at the regionals, it was regionals, right? We were asked to do the one arm snatch, and then I think it was 10 of them, and then you would sprint down and back, come back, and it was a 100-pound dumbbell. And I saw it on paper, and I was like, that looks really heavy. And I went and I got a 100-pound dumbbell. I brought it to the gym, and I was with my training partner. His name's Neil Maddox. And I looked at it, and I was like, what the hell is that thing? Huge dumbbell. And so I tried to pick it up, and I couldn't pick it up. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, this is not possible. I was like, this is not going to be possible. So after we fiddled around with it for a little bit, I finally was able to do the workout in not a very good time. But it so happens that at the regionals, I was able to do the whole thing unbroken for, I think was it 5 rounds? 4 rounds. So I did 40 unbroken, nonstop, just like a toy. And that's when it really enlightened me. Like, if they hadn't put that out there, I would have never known that I could throw 100 pounds over my head like a joke. But I was so intimidated by it going into it that I didn't know it was possible for me. So,
same thing happened to me, Jason. Yeah. I tried in my backyard and I couldn't even get the dumbbell up, and my husband was like, oh my god, this is going to be embarrassing.
So imagine how rewarding that is for us to introduce these athletes to something like that. Something that made Jason Khalifa, one of the strongest CrossFitters, go, Rich, I can't.
300 pounds, I was afraid of this 100-pound dumbbell.
Yeah, and so we played with it, figured out that, yeah, we'd make them go there and they'd be able to do it, and they performed, and they made it, and they shined. It's a huge process. I mean, I could sit up here and talk about the programming, and we could all talk about it for hours. But it's rewarding. It's time consuming. It takes practice. We don't always get it right. We make a lot of mistakes. We try to make it better. And yeah, it's always gonna be appropriate. But we're gonna strive to make it.
I'm Lauren from Lost Life. I know I didn't introduce myself. myself initially, but when that last workout is announced or was announced, what were you guys' thoughts initially hearing the weights, the movements, strategizing, or you're like, I got this?
What workout?
Just the final workout.
I was very excited. No, but I actually liked the combination of, you know, the skill, the high skill, you know, gymnastics walk with the deficit handstand push-up and muscle ups. I thought the weight was appropriate, challenging. I didn't think that any of the women would have a hard time with it, but I think that where it was won with was with the heavy skills and being able to manage it. So I was excited.
And just, I was excited for it, not necessarily because of the way I was doing. Oh, sorry. I was excited for it, not necessarily because of the way I thought I was going to do, but because of the representation it would give to the community out. So that was live on ESPN, and what I was most excited about was that people are going to be sitting at home and be like, oh, okay, so that guy's lifting 400 pounds. Oh, he's pistoling with the heavy weight. Oh, wait, he just walked on his hands down the three. What's going on? You know, like really showing athleticism at its finest. You know, a combination of strength, conditioning, gymnastics, and I thought the way they programmed it was beautiful in that sense. That's what I was thinking about more so than like how well I was going to do.
Like Jason said, the concept of the workout was really well laid out. For me though, going in, I was in first place and it was scary to think I need to hold on to these points, and I've never done weighted pistols before. I've come back from a knee injury, so it's something I very rarely do pistols anyway, and then the throw a weight on. I was thinking,
skull, right?
Yeah, I was thinking I don't even know if I can do that. In the warm-up area, I fell over on my first attempt.
Demon bell.
Yeah.
Demon bell.
I managed to get one rep each side in the warm-up area, and I thought, right, leave it at that and save it for the workout.
I was thinking just beat Jason.
Hi, I'm Jorge, RX Magazine, Latin America. This is for Dave. You talk about the whole putting out there, raising the bar. We saw the weights, we saw the clean and jerk ladder, we saw the highest weight was, what, 355? The one that you guys lifted. But we had a 405. That means that you expect that next year someone weightlift that?
No, that wasn't for that. We did not expect anyone to hit 405.
We'll get there.
Now that's the truth. In 2 or 3 years, that will be possible. This year, talking about what's appropriate for the time, we didn't. We knew no one would hit that, but we still wanted to have a ladder where someone could not clean it. Rich could have selected the ladder lower, and he would have cleaned it. He had to select. He had to think. He had to think. Do I want to start in an area where where I am conservative and clean it, or do I want to push it a little and go deep? I actually thought he would start at 315, but he's his own athlete and he has to make his own decision on that stuff, and he has a 375-pound PR. So, but no, we didn't expect anyone this year to get 405. Yes, someone will in a few years, maybe not 2, maybe not 3. It'll be a weight that's attained, and he's probably going to be the first CrossFitter to hit it at the rate he's going.
Thank you.
Am I allowed to ask a question? Ben.
Yep. To speak.
No, so you were known, so you appeared on the scene a couple years ago, and you were known for the guy who trains in front of his fridge, in his garage.
Those were great videos.
And, Jason talked about, and actually these 3 women have been training together for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, what is it? And Jason talked about the importance of being in a competitive environment. And so you've been on the scene, great performances every other year. Last year, not as much. What's it like training on your own, and then did you do anything different?
I've always been training on my own, kind of, but I did change up this year. I rested a little bit more. I had some injuries going into the season. I had knee surgery before the Open. I tore a muscle in my back before the regionals, and then got some tendonitis in my shoulder. You know, I feel like I'm falling apart, but managed to make it
24?
through.
You over the hill?
23.
23.
Yeah. No, I feel good now, and glad this season came, turned out well. But I have a group of friends that I train with, and I train with people that are better than me in specific things. That they'll always push me, like my brother, for example, will beat me in any type of running scenario. I have friends that are better than me at the shorter, quick workouts, which is one of my weaknesses, and I don't necessarily like that. So I was a little nervous about the last 2 workouts, so I didn't know how they would go because they were so quick. But just you have to have that mindset that you constantly want to push yourself, and if you have that, some people do, some people don't. But I feel like I'm always wanting to try to challenge myself and push myself to see how far we can go. Like Dave said, I think people will clean and jerk 405 in a few years. That was the plan going into last year. When I remember, I told Dave he had a 370 out there on the clean ladder or something. And I said next year somebody will get that, but maybe it'll be next year. But we'll get there. But I like pushing myself, and I like pushing the boundaries and seeing how far our bodies can go. So I enjoy that. And training by yourself isn't too difficult when you enjoy something like that.
I think one thing that you're seeing here is that all of these athletes are very sophisticated. And I think as the sport continues to grow and advance, the sport of fitness, what these guys are doing is very complicated. I think they're all displaying how great you have to be at lots of different things. So it's not just not having weaknesses now. These guys are really exploring the heights of being non-specialists, but having lots of different capacities. And I think that that's something that shouldn't be understated. The 3 ladies and the 3 men here have a great appreciation for what it takes to be a good athlete, and they're also very good coaches, and they understand what fitness is. And I think their knowledge of fitness makes them uniquely special in this sport.
Once again, Eric's Magazine. Jason, you trained a lot this year. You said it before. You had to suffer a lot of things new for you, like endurance. What do you think you missed this year to get that first place?
Good one. I like that. I did everything in my power this year to put myself in a position to win. And I'm really proud sitting here in second place. I think Rich is a phenomenal athlete and did extremely well at his games. I did everything I could. And this is where I ended up. Rich is just better than me at this. And there's always next year, but I think I did everything I could. For me, there's a balance in life, right? And there's sacrifices you need to make in life to finish on the podium and to finish from first. And Rich makes a lot of those sacrifices, He spends a lot of time in the gym training. And I spend a lot of time in the gym training. But I also have a lot of other things I need to have that I sacrifice, like my family time and my business time. And maybe next year I need to sacrifice a little bit more of that and spend more time training. But I think for this year the balance was there. I think I spent enough time. I did everything I could, and I ended up in second. I'm proud of where I stand right now. I'm proud of what I've accomplished in the sport of CrossFit, and I'm really happy.
You had a really good games. We probably think we enjoyed the whole duel you guys have. So congratulations.
I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah, it was great for the sport.
Yeah.
A question for Ben. You opened an affiliate recently, yes?
Yes.
Did you move your refrigerator there?
My fiance got me a fat head of the fridge and put it on the wall in the front. So it's more like home now, so yeah.
Jason, you talked about training, strength, gymnastic, but I want to know, I'm from Peru, from Latin America. What about the mental preparation? Because when you're on the WOD, at the WOD, you look the people look like you have the crowd, the sun burning, then you're suffering because it's not always about, power. Also, you are thinking that moment a lot of things in your head. What about that, the mental thing I was asking?
That was directed to me, right?
Yeah.
CrossFit's hugely mental, right? Anybody who says that has not competed in the CrossFit Games. it's a long grind. It's an endurance sport, and you need to continue to be competitive every single event, and you can't check out. I think the difference between a good competitor and a great competitor is someone who doesn't check out. What I mean by that is that during the workout, you just stay within yourself. You're constantly giving yourself cues. Stay back in your heels. Do this. You're doing a good job. Lift here. Do this. You're just constantly giving positive feedback, and you're never going negative. You're never saying, oh, I'm hurting. Oh, this sucks. It's like, that's just negative. It's not helping your progression. And I think for me, it's just positive self-talk, just talking about what technique I need to use, and just stay focused and just keep moving through it. But as soon as you check out, that event's over for you. As soon as you lose focus and you think that the competition is going to beat you, you're done. So for me, it's just about staying in the moment and being positive in the moment. That's it.
To add on that, me and Val did Croco 26 Seal Fit in October, and we learned to feed our courage dog. And what that means is don't buy into your fear. Keep feeding that courage dog. And how are you going to do that? You think positive. You think of what is getting you through that horrible pain that you're going through sometimes in a workout, and that self-doubt. Why are you doing what you're doing? You're doing it because you love it. And there's so many people that would just die to be in this position right now. I remember buying my first ticket to my CrossFit Games 4 years ago and telling myself that I was going to earn my ticket. And I did. And that was the next year. And then last year I got in the top 10, and I watched everyone get on the podium, and I said, I'm going to be in the top 3. I don't care where I am, I'm going to be in the top 3. So it's things like that, keeping that in your mind, and knowing that there's always someone right on your heels wanting to take your spot. So that's the type of stuff you think about.
I want to know what all you guys' pregame meal was last night. Like maybe the energy to get through.
100% paleo.
I had in and out.
Yeah, me and Lindsay went to the Habit.
Counterburger.
Yeah.
Lettuce wrapped, of course, but we still have the sweet potato fries.
Not mine.
I did eat a lot of bread this week. There's just, when you're burning this many calories, you don't really care. She's probably better than I am. But.
Eat whatever you want.
Yeah, I had Chipotle like 5 times, I think, this week. A lot of rice.
What normally happens in a competition, for those of you who haven't experienced it, is that during the morning you'll have a good meal. Throughout the duration of the day, you won't have a good meal. Especially the CrossFit Games. In previous history, they won't tell you when events are. Now they are, because like it's a little bit more streamlined now. But like back in the day, they would not tell you. Like you'd be like, "Hey, in 30 minutes, you're gonna go do this." And you like maybe you just ate a huge hamburger. You'd be like, "Oh, sure." So now it's a little bit more streamlined. You kind of play out your meals. But for the most part, you can't really eat too much because you just feel sluggish and feel too full. And so you really, for me, I rely on being like bars and stuff throughout the duration of the day. So at night, when I have an opportunity, like after the event, I'll just shut down a bunch of food. And in the morning, I'll shut down.
I'm usually not hungry throughout the day. The nerves and just everything going on.
Right. Yeah, that's.
Coffee.
Yeah, we appreciate doing that training.
A couple more questions from new people this time too, if possible. I appreciate the people who keep asking repeat questions. Just to give, yes, Russ Green. State your name and where you're from.
Hi, this is Russ Green, and I'm with CrossFit. My question's for the ladies. I know Sam, you have an endurance, competitive endurance background, and Lindsay has a competitive weightlifting and volleyball background, and Val, I know you did some gymnastics a little bit growing up, some. So the question is, what role do you think your athletic backgrounds had in your performance, and is there an ideal athletic background for the CrossFit Games, or does it just depend on your training now?
Sorry. Well, I think you just answered it for yourself there. All 3 of us come from different backgrounds, but we all focus on bringing our weaknesses up to a manageable level that all 3 of us were on the podium.
A lot of heart.
Yeah, it's hard work. No matter what background you come from, you've then got X amount of other areas to work on. So if you're going to put in the effort and the time to make those as strong as your strengths, then you'll sit on the podium.
Yeah, I would say before the weights started getting really heavy, Gymnastics was a perfect background because it was mostly body weight movements, and gymnastics gave me a good foundation for that. So it made anything body weight or close to body weight very manageable to do. But as the weights have gotten much heavier, I've had to really focus on building that strength.
Any more questions? Go ahead.
So you three trained together before the games. Do you think that that's like a magic kind of concoction for CrossFit women? Because it's kind of like the Valley girls when they used to train together and then they kind of split up and now they haven't made it to the podium. You guys trained together and all three of you boop, on the podium.
I'll take this one just because in 2010, Annie, Chris, and I drove together to check in for the games, and we podiumed together. So there is some sort of magic about being together.
Magic about you?
If you want to be on the podium, you need to stay closer to me. No.
I definitely think it helps. Before the games even began, I got in touch with Lindsay. Coming back from injury, I was kind of...
Tell them what you wrote though. She Facebook messaged me and goes, would you fancy it if I came out and trained with you? And I was like, me? And I was like, hell yeah, I would fancy it if you came out.
I saw how much Lindsay had improved since I saw her at the 2011 games and her results in 2012, and then how well she did in outside competitions. If I was to look at any athlete who's the complete opposite of me endurance, lifting heavy weights, I thought, perfect, I'll send her a message, oh, you've done really well in these recent competitions. She's like, oh, thanks. I'm like, fancy doing some training together? And like she said, she was up for it, so I was like, I'll make it work. So before regionals, we spent 3 weeks together. She was nice enough to open up her house, and I lived with her and her husband and 2 bulldogs for 3 weeks. And I felt that it really worked going into regionals. So then after regionals, we're like, shall we hook back up? And then I've been living with her for the last 5 weeks and training every single day with her. And then when Val could, obviously with family commitments, we got a few training sessions, and it definitely helps because you push each other. And then when you're on the competition floor, you're out with a friend. You're there to push each other on the competition floor as well.
Yeah, the friendship.
One last question.
Hello, I'm Juan Pablo Ganem from Medio Tiempo, Mexico. This could be for everyone, but I would like to know now for the next games, there's a whole year. So what to do in this in-between game period, how to stay focused, and how to manage this time.
It's getting back into training, looking at where you fell short on certain workouts. I know that I'm better at the endurance workouts. I still have areas to work on, so I'll definitely be working on the strength side of things. Like they've said, as things progress, weights are getting heavier, so I don't want to be left behind, so I need to keep focusing, keep working on my gymnastics, keep working on the endurance side, but also put more of a focus onto building my strength. So that's individual to me. The other athletes will have other areas that they'll need to work on.
I look forward to playing and doing other sports and activities for a couple of months and then getting back to training. Because that's, I think, what gave me a good foundation for coming into CrossFit is I mountain bike, I swam, I tried duathlons, tried some sprint triathlons, but I like to play in a bunch of different areas, and that's the whole point of CrossFit, is so that you can be generalist and be good at doing all sorts of other things and enjoying those. So that's my time to play and then get back to trying to train every day.
Okay guys, a couple things before we finish. I'd like to talk about the number of years these guys have all been competing. Ben Smith's competed in 5 games, Jason Khalifa 6, and Rich 4. Valerie, 4 games, Lindsay 3, and Sam 3. The experience at this table is insane, and it goes to show how much it takes and how long you have to be at it to be up here. And for that, you know, it debunks this whole notion that people are just going to come in and take stuff from these guys. These guys have been doing it for a long time, and they're at the top for that particular reason. You're looking at 5 of the 6 members. I'm going to go ahead and announce it for Team USA. So you 3 are definitely going to be on Team USA this year. Yeah, and you 2 will also be on Team USA. And we also have a member of Team Europe. Most likely, if she's healthy, her sidekick on Team Europe will be Annie Thor's daughter, which leads me to my next point. This is painting a great storyline for 2014. The battle between Annie and Sam. Who in Europe is going to take the top, or is someone else from the States going to come back and bring it back to our soil? We'll see, but that's going to be super exciting to follow on the female side of the house. And I'm going to leave you guys with this last thought. When we look left and right and look at these athletes, more so than any other years, and this isn't an insult to anyone else that's ever podiumed, but these guys right here, this is such a great group of ambassadors for CrossFit and for this sport. We couldn't be any happier, or we couldn't be any more proud of this group of athletes. So thank these guys. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Actually, if the journalists can wait till the athletes exit, just hold up for a sec, let them leave first. Thank you.
I donated a pair of
This 2013 coverage is brought to you by Ultrient High Performance Nutrients.